All right. Minutes are going around. Do I have a motion to start, a motion to pass minutes here?
Motion to pass minutes and motion to start the meeting.
Second on the meeting? Sure. I'm John. We'll probably have to make a motion here for allowing Val to have a vote because she's an alternate tonight. No motion.
Yep, I'm gonna motion that Val can vote. Should we vote this evening for anything?
You second that, John?
Yes.
All right. And then minutes go around.
So the folks, because he wasn't here, so Jim's not here yet, Ryan.
All right, so we'll table the minutes for now.
The minutes for now.
So I know last meeting we discussed doing the meat and potatoes and the discussion point of this at the beginning of our meetings moving forward so we can spend more time on this. But knowing that Jim will be here at 7 o'clock, we're going to table that and we're going to go down to the rec rundown, get through this. And when he's here, we'll go into the discussion points. So to just kick the meeting off, as of this past Monday, it's official. Jason Gagnon here is now our program coordinator.
Yay.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congrats.
We're in the seasonal full-time mode right now. That will go all the way until the end of August, and he'll start his 25 hours a week from there on out. Men's basketball, there's none this week. It's wrapping up at the end of the month, and no one has reached out to me about injuries, so I'm taking it as
Awesome.
everything is going well.
That is a win.
Our senior subcommittee, we've been meeting at the beginning of every month. When we get later into the meeting and the discussion point, we might be moving some things around, but all in all, it's a 3-member board with 1 alternate. Liz is our alternate, and then we have Lauren Glowacki as a member, Lois DeYoung as a member, and Jody Phillips as a member. And honestly, it's been going well. They've been putting a lot more investment into our senior programs and getting the word out there, and we're just going to keep that going. Even though we'll take a break from bingo and from our luncheons over the summer, we still plan on meeting over the summertime so we can increase the quality of our senior programs. Spring cleanup day for the 3rd year in a row was canceled due to weather. I know we discussed it a year ago that to just start canning this and just putting it on our field users. Yeah. I'm totally open to that. Selfishly, I've always enjoyed the event because I always felt like when we didn't have to cancel, it did bring the community together. Conservation would come out. We would cook burgers and dogs and whatnot. So moving forward, I would still like to try to carry on that mindset. But the busier we get, if it is easier to just put it on our field users to do that, we will. T-ball, we got 35 kids this year. We're going to keep registration open in case we get any like add-ons, which equates to 4 teams in total. We have picture day next weekend. Everything is going well, and we have our first sponsor. Oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank.
Shoot. Clove Hitch.
Yes.
Hitch Advising.
Clove Hitch Advising is our first official sponsor for our T-ball programs. Clove Hitch Advising.
I think it's Advisors.
Advisors, yes. Resident in town.
Oh, cool.
Fell asleep on you there, Jason. There was a mix-up with the order, but honestly, it was in benefit to them. They're sponsoring 3 of the 4 teams, so it was only supposed to be 1. But I'll be speaking with our shirt vendor about that. But they will continue the relationship into the fall time, and they will be sponsoring a soccer team as well. We're hoping that, with their name on the shirts and whatnot, that will open the eyes to other community members down at the field to get future sponsors down the road. Cricket, we're at 16 total kids, so I think it's about 4 to 7 less kids from a year ago, but we're going to keep registration open, and that starts this Friday, May 9th, and they'll be going Fridays and Sundays all the way up until the end of the school year. And the plan is to then have a second wave of the program that goes through July and August. Our bunny egg hunt, we had roughly over 100 kids with over 300 people in total. As always, it was very successful. It took the hour to put the eggs out for the kids to find it in 10 minutes.
Like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 2 minutes. It was great weather. Last couple of years, Easter's fell late March, early April, and Easter was very late this year. So even though we've been getting nothing but rain lately, we were kind of blessed to have some good weather there. And our new bunny suit looked awesome.
Yes, it did.
Pickleball courts, I heard from Aaron Berube. The fence is now officially secured. Aaron should be coming down either this weekend or next weekend, weather pending, to put the lines down. We've been working with Robin Marquis, who's been our pickleball instructor. We're going to start off by doing a Monday and Wednesday afternoon program. So unlike years past where it was free to play, we're now going to have scheduled reservation times where we'll now be having a revenue generating program. And depending on the demand, the initial demand of the courts, we'll probably set up private rentals as needed. I know there's a lot of competitive players in the area. So again, after seeing that initial demand, I wouldn't be surprised if we do like a mid-morning, midday type program for those higher level players. And I'm currently working on setting up a youth program at the same time.
Are users signing up online for reservations and paying that way?
We haven't greenlit that yet. The plan is to officially open everything to the public this upcoming Monday. So as of right now, we don't have any technical signups, but we were waiting for everything to line up. My ultimate goal was to have this ready a month ago.
Yeah.
And whether, I know for the lining purposes, it's been because of weather. But we were also waiting for the fence to get secured. But it's on our to-do list to kind of green light everything this upcoming Monday and start getting registrations going.
What about the nets?
Everything is all ordered, good to go. We have one, not like permanent net, but one net that will stay out there. The other nets will have wheels. They got brakes on them so people can kind of move them in and out of the shed. We've got tons of brand new paddles that people will be able to use. We worked out a deal with EJBSL. We told them that so previously they owned that shed, and then we had the lower field shed. The deal I gave to them was let's still share the lower shed, but we're going to take that shed from you. It has power, everything. So it's now our shed. That's going to be the pickleball shed. So I order over 100 balls. We got enough paddles to fit the whole court. We got nets.
Good.
So we're basically good to go on that front. And Prob, one of our pickleball participants, has experience with running tournaments. So I'll be coordinating a time to meet with him in the near future so we can try to do either a summer or a fall tournament. And I know Paul, one of our select board reps, came up to me. He had a pretty good idea about doing like a town tournament for residents for the select board reps. He was thinking that might help drive people out to spectate that. But I would say the pickleball planning is underway, but also ready to go here in the very near future. Mothers and Others Spring Brunch. We had about 27 participants. It was about 3 less from last year, but all in all, it was very good. I want to publicly thank John here and obviously Jason, but we had 15 high school volunteers. We had our senior subcommittee down there. John and Jason were running the kitchen.
Great.
It went really well. Want to thank the police department for donating their tablecloths. They were very nice. The kids came in all dressed up. I do think it was successful, but I would personally like to have a further discussion. Doesn't need to be tonight, but maybe at a later time, because I do think there's the potential of driving in more revenue with this. I think doing it on Sundays, we're competing with the churchgoers. Personally, I was trying to attach this as close as we could to Mother's Day. Last year when we did it, it snowed a whole bunch. But John and I had the idea of maybe doing a Saturday, because then we can sell sandwiches from the snack shack. So we can then both run the brunch inside for the seniors, but then sell sandwiches from the snack shack. So for the sports spectators. So everything's on the table, but the idea is it is a successful program. We're getting feet out there, but we believe that there's a lot more room to grow with it.
I'd like to consider made-to-order omelets too. That's not hard to do.
Made to
Pretty
order.
fast.
We can do that.
How was I actually had contacted a couple of florists in the area to see about doing like stuff for the table, but they had weddings and they were booked and stuff, so I couldn't get them in time. but I'd like to add that on. 'Cause there is
Absolutely.
There's a place that I can go where they'll make cute little arrangements for the tables, but were there decorations? Were there balloons? Was there anything there?
We didn't do anything
Okay.
to that sorts, but that,
We can- we
those
can
are great
totally add that
points,
to
and
the list only because it's super easy with the dance stuff. I can.
absolutely.
There's people that donate for certain things, so.
Yeah, the more the merrier. That'd be great. Windows, they're officially done. The bills have been sent out and it was paid through capital reserves. The last thing that needs to happen is just Jason and I need to go in there and put the blinds up. But all in all, windows are good to go.
They look amazing.
And it was nice to actually open them up during the brunch and not have to worry about my
my
head
God.
getting slammed by the window.
I looked at them during the bunny egg hunt, and I was like, "Oh my God, the
Mhm.
windows! They just were so nice."
Summer camp. I'm going to turn this one over to you, Jason.
Sure. So currently we have 35 total registrations. 30 of them are full summer, which is more than we had last year. So I'm
Awesome.
very excited for
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah.
Actually, I think we received one this afternoon, so that's gonna be 36 and 31. Trips are all scheduled. There's only actually one that's left that I'm waiting to confirm with. One has acknowledged that we want to go there. Just waiting to get the scheduling confirmed. Aside from that, we got our staff team for the summer. Very excited. We're getting ready for training here coming up. CPR is scheduled. And the Meet the Counselor night is going to be on May 29th from 4 to 6 p.m. Camp starts June 23rd. And we're going to be at Swayze on June 4th and 5th for their field day. So we'll be helping out with that as well. Yeah, it's summer camp.
On to the 4th of July parade. Permit's been approved. Kona Ice is locked in for the event. And DNC Catering is also locked in. For anyone that is unaware or of who DNC is, they are a barbecue kind of food truck, food vendor. Caterer, yep. We used them for the Haunted Walk. Derek and I kind of hit it off right from there. So we locked him in for the 4th of July parade, which will be the first time we can say that we can offer outside of Kona Ice. There's some food there towards the end. So I'm definitely excited to get that going. We still need to order some flags. I mean, we still have some left over from last year, but we're really kind of hitting the home stretch, at least on my end there. Did you? I know you play a big part with the parade. Did you? Is there anything you wanted to fill in on, or?
No, because I knew like we had Kona, we had DNC. I'm glad you added the flags and the medals because I was going to mention that to you. The other thing is I want to get those. I know you said you have them here at REC, cornhole boards, but I want to try to see if there's anybody in town where we could have a few extras because people like to do that.
Yeah.
They're having barbecue, they're having Kona Ice. And then just every year, I want to add a little bit more to it to kind of make it a true town event where not everybody goes away that weekend. You know, a lot of folks are having this stuff, you know, at their homes and stuff, but it gives them a little extra for the families that may not plan like big barbecues or have anybody. They'll have something in town that they can attend, and it's like maybe an hour more than we normally stay or something, but adding just those few things, I think it'll be fun for the kids.
I probably should have stated this before too, but I'm going to open registration next week for the parade as well. So
Oh,
any
excellent.
floats or anything like that, we're trying to get ahead of the fall sports registration, the parade
like being ahead
registration.
and
So it'll
having
give people a solid 8 weeks to register before the parade.
Yep, perfect.
I think we have 2 sets of boards currently for cornhole, but I think we definitely got to look into buying new bags. So I think
We need
old
new
ones got a
bags.
little gross.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes
those
those
are
can get
cheap.
if they get
Yeah,
wet,
so
they
this,
can
but
go
this
gross.
is our shopping list. That's
Okay.
Due to now getting the second person for the department, for everyone that's been in our office, it was already small and tight to begin with. We spoke with the treasurer department, so next week we'll be switching offices with Ambrose. So we'll be in the back corner, in the old section of town hall. And I was thinking we'll just put on the inside of the doors that, you know, recreation department here.
Yep.
So if you hear of anyone saying, "Hey, I went to town hall, Andy wasn't there," or whatnot, try to spread the word, let people know. We'll put something on the website that
Sure.
we're still here in town hall, but our office is going to be in the back quarter now.
Maybe they can hang a sign up temporarily that has an arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was going to put that at the door, and then I was going to put something as a notice on the front door as well. You know, go see rec down the hall or whatever, but offices will be moved, and it will be beneficial. It's a little bit bigger there for us. Revolving account, we're at, I say roughly because I'm still waiting on the bill from the town. I had already have expressed this to them, and I am giving them a little bit of leeway. There's been a lot of turnover here on the last 6 months. There's been a lot of, just picking up the pieces in general, trying to fill in the holes from what was left behind. But they are aware that they do owe us a bill.
And we talked to them about that before, right, John, that needs to be more timely and obviously circumstances, but going forward, we can't balance our books.
Well, how much does the town owe?
What?
You said that the town, this is the
Yeah,
owes money?
Val is just asking if, and we understand the current circumstances, all the new hires and whatnot, but Val is
There shouldn't be any. There's no reason why there's zero reason why we shouldn't be settled up at this
Okay.
point.
All right.
Like zero.
All right.
Okay. So can we, John, as the select board rep, can you work towards for future that, first of all, can we get this bill? And second of all, can this be more timely in the future?
Yeah.
100%. I just send me an email with or forward me an email or whatever it is, and I'll make sure that it gets raised.
Will do.
Okay.
I just need the specifics, obviously.
Where are you at with the books too? Are you guys on the new QuickBooks yet?
Yes, we're on a rec site for QuickBooks, and then we're also on the town. It's complicated. They're also, the town in Ambrose is in the middle of the process of still trying to centralize everyone. So it's the same answer as our last meeting. It's a temporary fix. It's better than what it was before, but there's still moving pieces.
Okay.
And I'm still working on trying to get, we have the Stripe payment system. It's working just fine. But part of the problem is I'm waiting for that last final step to say, this is what our software system is going to be. It's all centralized rec. All the departments are here for the town, because the idea is that every single transaction that happens online will get automatically logged, and it'll be time.
Huge time saving.
So save time. But I don't know if I said it out loud here, but we roughly have a balance of $65,000. $65,014.07. Jason, since this past school year, has been on a work study, so I fully expect this bill to be lower than it's been the last few years. Until I get that bill, I don't want to speculate what that is, but it's definitely going to be less than what it's been in years past for this time of the year.
My last question, just about finances, is: are we able to book the rec building online yet? I know that was one of the goals. So I looked at my phone. It must have not looked well enough. So you can book it online and pay for it online?
You technically can. And it's funny you bring that up. Jason and I, now that we have more time on our hands to take a deeper dive into some of these things, one of the things that Jason and I are going to look into, pending, unless anyone's got anything against this, we're going to try to go away from the 6-hour block rentals, because typically half the time people don't need it for 6 hours.
Right.
And the other thing is they always look for that because it's an automatic 6-hour block. They go from like 12 to 6. We don't want to block it. We want to go hourly still, but increase the rates on the weekends, because we believe we can actually squeeze in more rentals in the weekend, further driving the revenue up. So that's definitely on our to-do list. We'll get to it later in the meeting, but we've been working on doing a whole landscape, rearranging the department so we're more efficient, we're increasing revenue and whatnot, but that was kind of our mindset. So unless there's any naysayers here, we want to, because now that the website access is there, we want to put time in so people can just do hourly rentals over the weekend. So moving forward, everything is just hourly.
You want me to see if I can find the draft that we had of the hourly thing, or don't?
No, I just want to
Okay.
see if we're working towards that goal. So that's
Okay.
great.
Yep.
I had drafts drawn up for what it would
that's
look
good.
like. Was waiting, trying to get that figured out.
Because, I mean, not that it happens all the time, but it's a handful of times where we're turning rentals away.
Right.
There's, especially this time of the year with graduation season, people getting married. And in theory, we could squeeze in probably 1 to 3 more rentals a month on the weekends, and that will increase revenue.
Yeah, an
Yeah.
AM rental versus a PM rental.
Yeah.
And if somebody blocks for 6 hours and they realize, oh, well, our event's done and there's like 2 hours to spare or like 90 minutes to spare, it's like, oh,
We
okay,
didn't
well,
know.
we just lost revenue. there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we are at the group discussion point, but let's knock out some of these easier stuff here while we're still waiting on Jim. John, I have been asking Andrea. I was curious, has the select board had any conversations as to when board positions would be posted?
No, if you're looking, no, you have had discussions with Andrea though.
Yes, I've asked a couple times in the last few weeks here, and historically speaking, especially the last few years, normally they would have been posted by now, and normally
Yeah.
our new board members are starting in June. Andrea
Okay.
did tell me that regardless of what happens, and I'll use Julie as the example here, she has an expiring term, but unlike years past where we're kind of scraping up the pieces together in order to have a quorum, that Julie would still be able to stay on the board until the select board makes those final approvals, which definitely makes me feel better in the short term. But on the flip side,
Yeah,
I'm not saying anything that's news, but like Pat has told me he's stepping down, so there's a seat, and he's been busy with life.
There's zero reason why this shouldn't be posted already.
Yep.
Andy, so if you could put another email, it is really important that you guys, or that not you guys, sorry, but that you send me an email with these actions. I need it documented is what I'm driving at.
Yep. No, I write it down here. I'm going to send you 2 emails here in the morning. One regarding the town bill, and then with the remaining board spots. And I think this would be a good. This is a great.
And can you mention in the second email that you've had multiple conversations over the past few weeks about this?
Yes.
With Andrea? All right. Thanks.
And this is a good segue, and also mentioning that David Mentor has officially stepped down as the alternate, as one of our 2 alternates. It wasn't because of a lack of interest or anything. It's just like anything else with most people. It's just it's juggling of the time in their life. So he has stepped down. So we do technically have a board spot, an alternate spot open. Julie, please correct me if I have this wrong. I know your term is expiring, but you've expressed interest in coming back.
Yeah.
Pat's term is expiring, and he's decided to step down.
Yeah.
I know of 2 individuals that have officially reached out to me expressing interest in Jody Phillips, one of our senior subcommittee members, Laura Hajar.
Yep.
And then that's another reason why I want the board spots open, because I know there was names that applied a year ago that I'm making the general assumption that they want to throw their hat in the ring again.
Yeah, right. You gotta get it open now, because that's what people will be like.
And-
okay.
Yeah.
And we're confident that these people are strong supporters of rec programming?
With my initial conversations, everyone I have spoken to, I do believe that they will be strong rec supporters. With that said, I would like for anyone that's interested to, come to our next rec meetings. It'd be nice to hear from them directly. And it's another great segue, because I know you and I were speaking earlier. But is the select board gonna require an application process again, or is it just a statement of interest coming from those people of interest?
Do you want me to say what we talked about?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had John, I had a conversation with Andy because I wanted to ask him, just because of working with Margaret years ago and stuff, the old way was that when board seats would come up, anyone, it would go out so everybody in town would know, hey, we have some seats. If you're interested in volunteering or doing anything on a board seat, send us an email with just a little paragraph of why you want to be on the board, if you have any, volunteerism, if you just want to get involved in the community, and my take and my opinion, and I as a chair and as a private citizen. I just think we can get rid of the extra steps. I don't think there needs to be like, you need to fill out an application. It's just simpler that, and it's a little more, you know, heartfelt if someone is like, oh, great, you know, I don't have to fill out a resume and I don't have to fill out an application. I just want to I want to volunteer. It's about volunteerism. And I think if we can do the way it used to be, where the boards would get their candidates, they'd get applications for whatever board it has seats open. The board themselves would go through all the candidates. They would talk to each other. Okay, this person is this. I've met this person. Okay, they have great qualities. And then you finalize who you want to choose as the board. And then it was always brought to the select board, and the select board just signed off on who the board and the directors had chosen. I feel like that should go back to that way, because it's just more, we may get more opportunity for folks to want to come out and go for a board seat when they realize I don't have to fill out all this stuff. I just need to tell them why I want to do this.
Okay, I mean, I appreciate that perspective. You know, I only speak for one select board member because it's obviously it's a board decision, and
Yeah.
the board policy is to have, you know, instituted more uniformity for fairness purposes, because there was a perception that there was not always fairness on all the boards, and I'm not speaking for any person or any specific board. I'm just saying that there was that perception in the past, right? So that's my understanding of why we went with this quote new system of applications. And I don't know what I don't know at this point, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I can ask the
So
questions, but we just had our last meeting last night, so it's going to be another 2 weeks before we have a meeting.
So can we add that to the agenda, and I can ask in front of the select board at a select board meeting about a potential new process? Is that something that we could do, so that, you know, it's in front of all the boards, you know, some questions are asked, some ideas can be thrown out, and kind of see, you know, as a whole, what everyone thinks?
I mean, you can always be on the agenda, and you can always raise any issue that you want, right? Like, that's not that there's nothing stopping you from doing that at all. So
Yep.
Can I make a request, John? Whatever the ultimate decision, the method is that it's followed consistently, because one year I had to apply, but then the next year I didn't have to apply, and then I just got shooed in this I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. And
I also think that that's part of what they were trying to institute when they put in this process, because then it's like an actual process, as opposed to just an email.
And I applied, and we did that, and you guys gave me an alternate seat. And then the next time was coming up, and I said, do I need to apply again? And they said, no.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what?
I understood.
It was flopsy. Yeah.
It's just, it's inconsistent. So whatever it is, I'm just asking for consistency, so Andy has guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll send you an email about that tomorrow, John.
Thank you.
Yep. And then while we still have John here, I think the next easy thing to discuss is to move up and talk about the drainage. So I know, John, you and I were texting each other back and forth a little bit today, but I kind of want to do a very quick overview of where we are at with that. So we got an updated quote, and I'm rounding up. I can't do quick math off the top of my head here, but the updated quote for the drainage project is up to $8,300 for the total project. I presented this in front of the conservation back in the wintertime. I did a site walk on my own with them, along with Pat Farrell. And then we did a site walk a few weeks ago with conservation and with Gary over from Hillside Landscaping. And I have an email here that I can share with everyone after tonight, but they have no concerns with the project that we're trying to do here.
Conservation.
Yeah, conservation. And I feel comfortable and confident enough to now present this to the select board for approval for the use of impact fees. I guess my question and or recommendation is when would be the best time to present this to the select board? Because I know your next meeting is on the 20th. I don't know how jammed up your agenda is gonna be. I know personally, I'm gonna be doing
mean,
CPR instructor classes. Would it be easier to do this for June 3rd? And then
Let's just get it done. Yeah, I'm happy to just represent it, and the fact that we can say that conservation has reviewed it is not going to hurt. Especially since you're not going to be there, but Becky Dunham is there for most of the meetings. So
Yep.
I think that's let's just get it done.
I'm with you. And then the last thing I'll go with this isn't I know you know this, John, but I can't stress the importance to the select board. And if you need to text me or call me before the meeting, please do so. But I can't stress that. I know we're in a current climate right now where we're trying to pitch every single penny that we can, and that, depending the project, we're looking for additional quotes and whatnot. I do firmly believe if the select board votes to table this to seek additional quotes for the drainage project, I do believe that's going to further increase the cost dramatically. I know when we Hillside presented about possibly doing an engineer to come out to look at the facility, it was a $5,000 expense, which is more than half of what the actual cost of the project is. Hillside is a current contracted vendor that we've been going through for 20 plus years. I fear that if we seek additional quotes, we run the risk of losing a loyal and respectful vendor who does a lot of work, not just for municipalities, but for a lot of the school districts in the area. So that's definitely a concern that I have. So if you don't mind, taking this on May 20th.
Julie, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. I've had this conversation with Andy that we can't take the chance of losing this guy. And I got news for you. Landscaping companies right now are through the roof, and they'll charge you thousands of dollars just to step on your property. So
oh yeah, no,
we should, and we've been talking about this for a year, and conservation is on board. There's things where I will say, yes, I think we need to move for this. And then there are things where I'm like, yeah, you need 3 or 4 quotes. This one, I don't believe we need quotes for. We have a very reasonable priced item and it needs to get done or we're going to lose revenue at the rec.
So can the two of you write a joint statement? Just like I'm literally saying 2 sentences with both of your names on it. Sure. Maybe 3 sentences about the importance of moving forward now with this particular quote.
Sure.
And my plan is to not even use it, and I'll use it only if I have to.
Sure.
Okay.
Additionally, guys, what I would add to it is he knows our existing systems. He knows our sprinkler system.
Correct.
He's installed it. He maintains it.
Yeah.
He also knows the integrity and the design of our field. So it's also concerned.
That is pretty compelling. So we should definitely add that in there.
It's huge. So I would add that to your statement.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And just to further elaborate on that, just a tidbit more is, I've already spoke with Gary. The best time to get this done would be over the summertime. We don't have as much foot traffic going on over there. We can do the work without affecting any current programs or sports that are going on. So again, a rejection of this is not going to just delay it itself, but will increase the expenses of the project.
It'll be moved out to next year.
And you walked the field at the perfect timing with all the rain. It showed that it was literally a lake at the bottom of the hill.
Okay, so we'll get that over to you, John. I'll work with Julie with that combined statement. We'll set that over to you. So we'll have that ready for you prior to May 20th.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect.
Do you need to vote on this, or?
I mean, we can vote on it if you feel it's necessary. I mean, we've been talking about this for a month.
So that's why I'm asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion for the rec department to put forth our drainage project with roughly 8,300 for I don't have my phone, but he's on my phone.
It's 84, what is it? Excuse me, sorry.
I think it's
84
83.25
83.25.
for $8,325 from Hillside Landscaping for our lower field drainage to be voted and approved upon at the May 20th select board meeting, with the project to start and be completed in the summertime through the use of impact fees.
Can I add to the motion
Yes.
that we do not seek subsequent quotes,
Yes,
that we're only putting
correct.
one quote forward?
Yep.
Yep.
We'll be moving forward with the one quote.
I move the motion.
I have a motion from Val. Do I have a
second
second?
that.
From Julie. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, perfect. Let me make sure Jim gets the minutes when he
He
gets
has
a
them.
chance. All right,
Yeah.
perfect. All right, so we're just gonna kind of go through this step by step. At this point in the meeting, John, I mean, you're more than welcome to join us for as long as you like. Love to have you here, but I know you're busy, so if you need to let us go, just feel free to let it.
Yeah,
speak
okay,
up.
I'll drop off. I'll look forward to getting those 3 different action item email follow-ups from you, and just obviously give me a call if you need anything or if I could be helpful.
Okay.
Will do.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, bye.
Bet, bye.
Those are the major items. Right?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
All right, we can turn that off. Okay. So I think I probably should have put this in better order. The strategic planning is going to be the rest of the chunk of this meeting, so I kind of do want to skim through this as best as possible, unless we feel it's necessary. But I do want to kind of touch upon a few things. So I'll pass around a quote. We had Bartlett come out about a week or so ago to walk the facilities. We had requested a quote to clean up the midsection of the upper and lower fields, to clean up the brush, to cut the outside perimeter of the lower fields brush there, and then to expand and cut back the brush of the lower dirt lot so we can increase the parking of our facilities.
How far are we cutting back?
I don't know if it
It says
states it
on
in
the-
there. It states it in here.
It does. Okay.
I believe it's around the perimeter of the field. It's 10 to 15 feet, I believe it's quoted. And then it's 20 to 30 on the parking lot, I believe. It says,
Key, I think.
Yeah.
I believe it says
Yeah.
so on there.
So
And it looks like they have 3 phases.
Yeah, there's a third section.
So I can't remember the phases off the top of my head without looking at it, but I believe we would skip phase 1
Yeah.
based off of my recommendation and focus on phase 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So phase 2 was to clean up the hill with
Yep.
a lot of the new growth that's coming up and some
Right.
of the older bushes and shrub that's kind of dominated the hillside. So
Yep.
it's cleaning up the hill, and then the parking is what we're looking at, and not doing the tree line.
I know I said I wouldn't
It's huge.
speculate on the town bill, but to give us an idea of roughly where we would be if we were to decide to move forward with phase 2 and 3 of the quote here, and we can seek additional quotes. I don't think there's an issue with that. But I'm expecting us, after this next town bill, to be roughly at $50,000 with our revolving account.
Okay.
If we do go with phase 2 and phase 3, I believe that would bring us back down to roughly 33 to 35,000 in our revolving account. Jason and I had a conversation the other day. When I stepped into this role in 2018, there was $45,000 in our revolving account. Networking and speaking with a lot of other departments here in the state, even for towns of our size, we are well below the average of what the normal balance is, the average balance of our revolving account. I'll use a close community as an example. Nottingham, they have an average balance in their revolving account of $80,000.
Wow.
It is a personal goal of mine to start increasing the floor of our revolving account. So in theory, could we take that big bite out of what's being presented to us? And obviously we'll seek additional quotes. Yes, we could, but I would recommend holding off on phase 1. I think phase 2 is minimal. Cleaning up the field is just gonna aesthetically make the place look nicer. People are gonna want to use the fields more. But obviously, the thing that intrigues me is expanding of the parking. As we've stated for a few years now, parking is an issue. So while the cost of developing a lot would be a lot higher, I do believe that this is a cost that could help alleviate that in the short term.
Is that the, whoops. Is that The trees for more parking, is that down past the, are you talking about down?
It's past the
park?
playground. It's
Okay,
it's
so like when you're
specifically
going
the
down
lower
in,
lot.
Like over to the right?
You know where we put that new, or the old,
Yeah.
the crate there?
Yeah.
That's gonna be that whole area.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
way.
I just needed a vision.
So a good way of
It's
thinking.
not all small trees, though. This only talks about small trees, and it doesn't talk about boulders at all.
Well, they're a tree company, so they're gonna specifically target the trees, and a
Well,
lot
it
of the
says
growth.
remove small trees verbatim. It
Well,
doesn't say remove all trees.
Well,
There's some
we were
big
looking
ones
at
there.
we're looking at the small growth. A lot of it was smaller growth, but they would not touch rocks because they're a tree company. That's what I was getting at. They wouldn't.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that even if we take out the small brush, it doesn't mean we get that much additional parking off the.
There would still you need to do stump removal. And
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
within the
yeah.
area, but they would take
Exactly.
care of the actual wooded.
Yeah, but
Foliage.
town could probably do stuff.
I was going to say, I think Wayne could help us out with a lot
He
of
could
that.
probably do this, the boulders. I would definitely get additional quotes. Bartlett has a good reputation, but
Yeah.
that's not insignificant money.
Of course.
Yep.
The other thing is I would probably, I mean, yeah, we can have Wayne help us out with stuff, obviously, you know, if they have that availability, but getting, I'd say
I think two more.
potentially 3 more quotes. I'd say probably 2, because then 3, I always feel like 3 quotes is good enough, because they all seem to be the same in pricing for a lot of things. Maybe find a company that does both, where they're doing tree removal and boulder removal. I'm sure there's, you know, some landscaping companies that can remove
both.
both, and see if there's a deal that can get in there, because might as well see if we can get, you know, more bang for our buck.
Absolutely.
How many more spots feasibly could it give us?
I mean, we expected potentially a full another row.
Oh,
So
Oh,
20,
wow.
20-ish to 30 vehicles.
that's a,
Yeah, that's
think we
good,
could
that's
be potentially more than
significant
that.
increase,
Mhm.
and that is a big thing we need still.
Currently, we can fit 3 rows of cars. I think we were
How-
looking at it. We think we could fit a 4th.
Would you guys have to do any sort of like defining of the lot? It gets
We
kind of
talked about that.
chaotic down there. We've done it before with like power,
Mhm.
you know, power line poles.
Yeah.
Andy and I kind of discussed it a little bit. We haven't really gone too far into it because we're still looking at the feasibility and what the cost
Right.
would be behind that.
Even just
but-
state like reflectors.
Yeah.
Or I think we kind of even mentioned there currently there's those yellow barrier like pads.
The bear, we have some in the garage.
So we talked. Well, no, I'm talking about the ones that are currently along the
Oh yeah, moving those. Yep.
and putting
Yeah,
them in
just
the
to
middle
like
to have.
establish.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a road. This is a road.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've talked about it.
right.
You know what I mean?
Not creating our own spots. You're saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
So we would just do like phase 3 and skip 1 and 2?
I think we're looking at 2 for aesthetic purposes and then 3 for parking.
I mean, I think 2 is. I mean, if we're, in my opinion, if you're gonna go with 3, might as well go with 2. It's not that much more.
Right.
Yes.
So that's why I recommend 2 and 3, and I think we should table 1. Now, obviously, if we get a couple more, you know, other quotes, if it allows us to knock all 3 out of the park, great. But I'm thinking more of the spectating reasons, because a lot of people are sitting closer and closer and closer on the fields by
Yeah.
pushing back the tree line there along the edge of the lower field will actually allow for more spectator space and allow for more field usage.
Yeah.
I am slightly biased towards Bartlett. My father's worked for them for 25 years,
Oh, yeah.
so I am biased towards them. But they did do work on our upper field last year to help with the
Yeah.
softball fields there, and they're
They're
very
dropping off the
respectful.
chips for free too.
They're donating the wood
Yeah.
chips to our playgrounds. So
That's
with
great.
this kind of a project,
Oh,
we
that's
give wood,
great.
the,
I
Yeah.
love
the
that.
wood that comes off of our fields
Yeah.
to go right to our playground, so it doesn't leave the facility.
Yeah.
They're very easygoing.
For
I
the
am biased
woods.
towards them, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
So.
they would be very respectful to our fields.
Yes.
I skipped one. We're gonna go up to the furnace real quick. If are we okay to move on from this?
Yeah.
All right. Furnace. I'm still waiting to hear back from David Fields. He is our town plumber. Why he would work on the furnace, I have no idea, but I've been told he is the expert here in town. So I'm still waiting to get a response back from him. I've already reached out a handful of times. So if I don't get a response in a timely manner, I will work with our new building inspector, Bob, because going back to a convo we were just having a moment ago with the drainage, I want to use impact fees for the drainage.
Mhm.
And I would like to request town capital reserves out of the maintenance line for our furnace. I'm hoping by the end of December, if we can tell ourselves as a department, we got a second position approved, we hopefully can expand parking, get drainage in, we got windows, and then hopefully get a new furnace. I think that's a grand slam of a year.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep working on that, but that's definitely a high the drainage and furnace are high priorities of mine. I know they're high priorities for the department, but this is more just an update of where we are along with that. And then lastly, and then we'll kind of get into everything else here. I want to talk about camp scholarship programs. I do think we need to figure out some form of a policy. Up until a year ago, we've always have operated under an open door where if you needed financial assistance, we would work with you one-on-one. We would set up a payment plan. But we would always make sure, you know, if we had 50 kids coming to summer camp, we got 50 registrations worth of payment. This year, we tried putting on a fundraiser. It did not go very well. We've added additional options in the online shopping carts. When anytime anyone registers, if they want to put in additional $5 into their registration, we're going to put that into a Camp Kitty per se. Jason and I have been going back and forth. I know when I was the director at Rollinsford and worked at Rochester summer camp, we would always, the department itself would kind of waive and or just give out just 2 scholarships per se without receiving those funds. So I wanted to bring that to the table here. We don't get a lot of requests. I mean, I don't want to mention names, but
We have 3 kids who are seeking assistance.
yeah, I think 2 of them, you said, what, they're weeklies?
Their parents have asked for at least 2 weeks. Anything additional would be greatly appreciated because they were at camp last year and would love to come back for more this year. And another family is looking for as much support. They're going to be there for the full summer, but they're looking for as much financial support as possible.
Yeah. And any type of scholarship, I want to preface, this would be for residents only.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. We did take on, without getting into it too much, I don't think this is the appropriate time to do so, but just I do think this information is useful for the conversation. We were working with the school.
So,
We were told that we would get 2 scholarships or funds for 2 scholarships a year ago. We never got that, so I do have to
from the
prep.
school?
Not from the school, just in.
Okay.
We were told we would get that, and
No.
Fair enough.
at the end of the day,
So I have a
we
question.
will have to eat that. So that's another reason why I
So
bring up the
let's
2-person
talk about what
policy.
eating it is, all right? So your counselors, whether there's 2 additional kids, our costs are not increasing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Whether it's 8 kids or 10 kids there for the day, it is the same cost.
Mhm.
So we're not eating.
Yes, correct.
What it is we're not making the revenue. My suggestion would be, you've worked with the school, you've validated these are, children in need of services, right? Or in need of support financially. My vote is you just do it for this year and then we work over the next chunk
Yep.
of time to come up with a formal process.
I'm not going to push back on that. I don't disagree with that, but the reason why I brought back my prior experience is a lot of towns, a lot of municipalities will give out 2 scholarships. We did a full package, summer, before and after care, and that was roughly $2,700. So for
It's a value of 20.
a value. So
Yeah.
for easy math's sake, if we wanted to round up and say, well, you know, is the department, and if we want to table this, that's fine, but is the department willing and okay saying, hey, we're willing to hand out, you know, a value of $3,000?
I would say, so you want to be careful because it's not like you're going to do it every season. It's only
Correct.
going to be if needed. Maybe we'll say we'll do up to,
Well, for this year, and then next year we'll have a process.
and then you'll have, so
Yeah.
we'll say, well.
And that's why I want the
we'll
dollar.
go up to on these, are any of them the same family?
2 are siblings.
Okay.
Okay. It was one of those families, one that said they need some support or they need total support, the one with
So
2.
the 2 that are looking for the 2 weeks minimum are siblings. The
Okay.
third is a different individual.
And the reason why I want, at least for the short term, want to go with a value amount is that there's a line in the sand. So if there are additional requests between now and camp, we don't have to, I mean, we went through a refund policy issue last year. I want to put a line in the sand saying, hey, you know, how come X family got this, but I couldn't get that? You know, if we don't have that, in my opinion, that set number, we could, you know, at that point, we can then at least say and fall back on,
So
hey,
let's say for this year, this is a proposal, you guys can,
Yeah,
I'm just speaking.
No, I know where you're going, cause I'm thinking
For
the
this
same
year,
thing.
we will do up to $3,000 in scholarship fees waived, fees waived as a scholarship
Yeah,
for qualifying families that we've been able to validate through the school system,
Yeah.
right? Because they do that. And call it that for the season, you know, and then come up with an actual program.
then there needs to be a policy put in place.
A written
So that we
policy.
don't, like an actual document.
I agree.
And have it in our recreation handbook that basically states that, and it covers what happened to us last year and for this particular
We already-
item.
Tell me we updated the,
Yes.
I updated it last.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
million times.
No,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no, but like, yes, but so that none
Let
of
me ask a
that-
question here.
Excuse me.
I don't, we had this same conversation last year. I remember it distinctly, but is it really that hard or long to come up with a policy? I mean, it's the same question as going back to new board spots and alternates and
no,
standardization.
no, what I think they're saying is, we
Let's
were
just come
told
up with
by
a
the,
policy.
no, I think the policy, yes, but the town, members from the town said they were gonna put in a scholarship program for us, not us. They were gonna do it.
Right.
Nothing happened, so we
Nothing, right.
don't have a scholarship.
So now an expectation is
Funds.
laid down.
Yeah,
So we have to, as a board, make a decision that we're going to waive potential revenues. That's
Right.
what we're deciding on tonight.
Right.
There's no additional cost, we're waiving.
I think we're gonna,
revenue.
we're gonna end up kicking I think life is gonna happen. We're gonna have the same issue next year because we didn't develop a policy this year. It's gonna be the same thing
That's
all
fair
over
enough.
again.
no, that's,
Well,
yeah,
well,
My only
We
kickback
had
to
the
what
same
you're saying, John,
conversation.
is that, and this is to what Julian and Val are saying, is we're already in the thick of registration. So it's tough to come up with a policy, like kind of making up the rules in the middle of the game. I think the best time to put a policy in place is
yeah,
when
that's
it's,
what we're talking.
yeah, is during probably ideally the winter time. So before we open up registration, that policy is set in, locked in
I think
place.
it's too late for this year
Yeah.
because it's already.
And that's
I
why,
think We're still gonna get more applications though.
Yeah, that's the one thing I would like to add in is if you have 3 more requests.
Exactly.
And we say, okay, we have 3,000.
We've
we're gonna
already
split it up
given it
evenly.
out.
Now you have
So-
6 people. Now you need additional staff. It's not, oh, there's no.
so I do want to preface that regardless of what decision is made, at the end of the day, we reserve the right to either accept or reject a sign up based off of ratios. We've hired our staff for the summer. So if we get any new registrations and it
have a
affects
wait
that, they're on a wait list at that point. We're not gonna approve this to then be understaffed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and here's the thing, it's $3,000, it's first come, first served for this year is
Yeah.
what I would say.
Now, before we make any motions or anything like that,
Sure.
can we put a date attached to that number so we can say to any families, I apologize, but the rec commission has agreed that after this point, it's too late.
When is registration?
June 1st.
So it's-
June
right.
1st is when our rates
That's all,
go,
that's all.
our early birds go away.
I
our
would,
early-
I would
our
tie
normal
it
rates
to
go.
that,
June,
June
yep.
first.
I just,
Yeah.
if we can attach that in, that'd be helpful for us as
Yes,
managers.
I would definitely tie the.
but
the
I
June
don't
1st date to it.
disagree with what John said, that
Correct.
we need to make it a priority to
I agree.
actually have
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
we
those
don't,
definitely
we don't go back to things. That's the problem. I mean, we deal with it when it's on the agenda and we never go back to something and say, hey, wait a minute, we have unfinished business.
So let's vote to put this in on the August
So-
agenda.
so we
When
will-
camp is over,
right.
boom, we make a decision right then and
What
there.
I can do is I'm the summer camp director at the end of the day. Oh, now the program coordinator, but summer camp falls under me. I can have something drafted and ready
Yeah.
if August is when we want to do that. I had the last year when we had the whole problem going on last summer. I
Mm-hmm.
had immediately gone in when that happened to make that adjustment for this year.
Yeah.
I can do that this year for next year just as easily, and we can talk about it
Yep.
in August. If that
When
makes
it's, camp is still fresh.
Yep, I think.
I can be
that-
working on
I
it
think we
actively.
do
And then
that.
we'll actually have evidence of more signups, any
Yes.
requests, and we can reevaluate.
Mhm.
that can just be an active thing that I'm working on. It doesn't have to be a passive thing that gets passed off.
Yeah.
I can work on that this month.
And it's tabled this next meeting for the August agenda.
Right.
For August.
For discussion.
Because that'll be at the end of the month when camp has already gone and passed. So we're, in theory, already on to the next camp season. That's when camp will be the most fresh. We
Yeah.
can discuss it. I mean, we'll be
Right.
going through a camp overview anyways at that meeting. I think that would be the most
And
appropriate.
it allows for like everybody on the board to really kind of policies can be very simple to make up. I look at them every day.
Yeah.
So we just discuss it and then we kind of can fine tune like verbiage, dates, dollar values and everything. And then we vote on it and we're solid that this is moving forward.
And then additionally, if we put a cap on it, we say this is what we're willing to forfeit in revenues or waive fees is really what it is. You're waiving fees
Yep.
for up to 3,000. And I just threw out a number, guys.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you don't like my number, don't like
Change
my
the
number.
number, yeah.
And the other
And
thing
then
is,
if this
Go
doesn't
ahead.
prohibit, though, if the select board, whoever was going to arrange an actual scholarship, then we could have additional spots available that could use scholarships.
Mhm.
And the funds are paid from not the rec.
Agreed. And we also have our sponsorship brochure that we've been passing around, and summer camp is a part of that sponsorship process. So that money can go directly towards scholarships. So there are multiple methods we're working on to try to fund that ourselves,
Yeah.
but unfortunately this year,
I don't think we just had enough momentum.
Yeah.
Like it's the Flyers, whatever. We're making strides and maybe next year we'll actually have a scholarship fund.
sure. Well, now that there's 2 people on staff, it's gonna be easier to make a lot of these pushes a
Yeah.
little bit more aggressively and a little bit
the
more
other thing we can do too as a board is we obviously want to bring more revenue in here where if we're doing any extra things like fundraising or, we have more things that come on where we're getting, a little extra cash, we set up a scholarship fund and we divert some of that funding to go strictly into that so that when summer camp comes around, we may have more than, in
What
the
we
pot,
vote on tonight,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that utilizing some of those funds would be great. It's great to use it for different projects for RAC, but we also have that as part of summer camp, and there are kids in need. And I would never want to turn a kid away,
No.
like, because they can't afford something, absolutely not. So there's so many different things that can be done through REC to get more revenue to come in for those types of things. So that should be a slam dunk.
I agree. Unless further discussion is needed, is someone make a motion for the short term with for this upcoming camp season with the idea that we are going to draft up a policy in August to then be voted on as an official policy moving forward?
Yeah, I'll put a motion up for that.
we dollar amount and date.
Yes, adding, so I'll put up a motion to add a date and a dollar amount we're doing this for the short term, and in August, we will be putting a value of 3,000.
June 1st.
June 1st is going to be the date, and we will be discussing in August the policy that will be put in place moving forward.
Do I have a second?
I can second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm opposed.
Jason, you're gonna put it on the August agenda to have a proposal of a
I'll have it.
formal policy.
I'll be here Fridays, so I'll have time to get this work on.
All right.
Because
Can you-
John's not wrong on that point.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Nope.
confident I can have something up quick.
Yep.
Well, it's very unclear, even what you're doing for this year, so that's why I understand, it's like, you're
Oh, yeah.
just waiting for a problem if you don't have something done, so why not do it now? But it is a little late in the game, so let's get through this
We're
year.
talking 20 minutes to
then go.
sit down with pen and paper. I mean, it's nothing.
It just, if you
And then
make decisions
everybody
on the three
reviews,
that have
okay,
already
I got it.
applied.
If Jason gets it done ahead, we
It's
could
not.
probably do
You
it.
guys already voted, it's not.
Yep. Can you pull up that? So we're on, I mean, I don't know how much longer we want to spend on here, but we're essentially through the rest of the meeting here. So actually, while we're waiting on that, let's actually, before we dive into the meat and potatoes here, let's actually vote on when we want to do our next meeting. This was a reschedule from our April 23rd due to quorum reasons. Do we feel it's necessary to meet again in 3 weeks from today on May 28th? Do we want to just stay on schedule? Do we want to say, hey, let's bypass that and just meet on Wednesday, June 25th?
Are there things coming up at the beginning of June that we need to get out in front of or something? You know what I mean? Is there any action items?
I don't think so.
I personally don't think we need 2 meetings in May, so I
mean, the only thing that
fine
would
with June.
be at that point was just to see how the select board's going to vote on drainage on the 20th. That would be an
Well,
overview.
hold on.
That's true.
What about But what about positions? When are you gonna have to decide on positions?
That's a good call, too.
That's right.
Depending on when they're posted. I mean, I personally would like to see, if interested people should be coming to the meetings at the same time. It'd be nice to see
Yeah.
them come to at least 2 meetings. So personally, like, while do I think 2 meetings in May is necessary? No, but to
Like,
me,
with that,
tonight
that's
is our
right.
April meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I recommend we stay paced, stay
Stay
on
days.
schedule.
I keep forgetting that we didn't.
Yeah.
yes, That's, yeah.
Yeah, cause I'm traveling the first week in June and
Yeah.
I have stuff the 10th and 11th in the evening that I can't miss, so.
And we're gonna need
Doing
to discuss like what's happening with the drainage anyway.
Yes.
So we might as well just, leave that. I keep forgetting.
Probably May 27th.
It would be the 28th.
But he'll be gone.
Having the Wednesday of that week.
The 27th is Tuesday, so you'll miss the
Is it
meeting.
whatever, the
Yeah.
Wednesday, yeah.
So unless I have any opposed, if we have enough for a quorum, we'll plan to meet on May 28th.
Okay. Well, yeah, because we have Ryan, so. we need to
Yes,
make
he's
sure-
normally here, yeah.
He's normally here. We need to make sure he's here for that.
Okay. So I know I called this strategic planning, funding and revenue. But Jason, I really worked on for a good chunk of the day today. It's kind of a huge, and it's small. So if you have to enlarge certain spots of it, Jason, please do so. This is literally a day by day overview of what a typical rec year looks like, of what's going on. And the reason why we did this is we think that this would go hand in hand with, possible revenue generation and or funding plans. But in my opinion, before you can get down that part of the road, we wanted to look at the calendar here and see what we could do to be more efficient as a department. Because I think in my opinion, we get so used to just the hamster wheel of the day-to-day routine, month by month. And I don't think we ever have, in my time here, have ever even looked at this. Like, what does a year look like? Unless we think this should be saved for May 28th or whatnot, and we strictly want to discuss finances tonight, I am fine with that. But
I think they go hand in hand. I don't think you can do it in a vacuum.
No.
perfect. That's kind of where my head was at.
Yeah.
So
Have this on,
Like
in our
digital?
electrons?
we
You send this out to us?
we literally this is what we were.
Yeah, can you like actually just put this in a digital calendar and then print the
Yeah,
months?
we can do that.
Yeah.
This was
And maybe tell us what the
Yeah, so I was
colors
going to
mean.
say, I can do that. So
You can just do it in Outlook.
but we wanted to have something like physical that we could because
No,
the
that's
sticky
fine.
notes, we're
You-
moving stuff around. And
No, I get
we,
it.
we can get that to you by the end of the week.
But for us to like interpret this,
Yeah.
this
Sure.
is like, I feel like we need to digest
It's
it.
also in our office, so after this, if it helps, we can go and
We'll definitely put this on Outlook. We'll
Yeah.
get this
I
fixed,
would literally
cleaned
make
up.
a strategic planning calendar, an additional calendar that
Yep.
doesn't mess with your other stuff.
Right.
So to break this down, everything that's green is a youth or is a sport. So whether it's youth, adult, whatever, it's a sports program.
Can you
Blue-
focus on like 1 month so
Yeah,
we
I
can
can
just
zoom in.
like do like July or something.
I'll do October because that's our busiest one, I think.
October is the big.
Actually, I'm gonna do June because camp's in there. All right, June here. So green stuff, pickleball, t-ball, softball's in there, cricket's in there. Anything green is a sport. Blue is a other program. So whether it's yoga, ceramics, rocky
Body.
bodies in there.
Yep.
Bingo would fit in here, but it's not in this month because we take a break during the summer. Pink is
Luncheons.
our camp, so we have like field days on there at Swayze with that camp. CPR trainings on there, staff trainings on there, camps in there. Camp is pink. Orange is any meetings that we have. So we have our senior commission meeting on the 4th there, and then the 25th would be our rec meeting. Red is any field usage, so whether it's EYSA, EJ,
Adult softball.
adult softball,
That's not
flag
ours.
football. Anybody that's on the field is marked in red.
Okay.
And then they're not on this one specifically, but we do have markers for breaks that Andy or I would typically take, vacations from the schools.
In the top right, we did it in every month, and we will clean this up for
but we have
everyone.
rentals.
But that's the average rental per month that we would get during that time of the year. So those are specifically BRC rentals.
Do you have a breakdown of what the free events are?
Oh, we do have events too. Not a breakdown per se, but we do on other
Is
months.
it color coded separately?
There's
Yeah,
a
it
yellow. There's a
is.
yellow somewhere.
I
There you
want
go.
to make
April.
sure that I have a better understanding of how much we're doing that's free versus fee-based or whatever?
To-
Because we should have a cross-section.
For a simple answer, it's the majority of our town events are free. But like the brunch we just did, that wasn't free, right? We charged at the door, but like 4th of July parade,
Bunny
Okay.
breakfast.
you know,
Bunny breakfast,
breakfast.
haunted
yeah, the
walk.
egg hunt, yeah, the haunted walk, things
I
like
just want
that.
to get a percentage in my head to try and.
Yep.
Because that's one factor that is going to be important.
Without taking a deep dive, my
I would say the 75%.
gut would say is like about 30% is what we're charging.
Free.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So the yellow is, I forgot about yellow, but yellow is our town events. We do have those across our calendar.
And whether it's ones that we are the facility host to, so like Peach Project, that's a huge weekend. So while Rec per se doesn't have a big hand in the planning of it, we are hosting it,
You are a co-sponsor.
a co-sponsor.
What are
So-
we trying to do with this?
So this is a good. So the purpose of what we wanted to do is really examine where can we move things to increase efficiency. Are there certain areas of the year where we're really bottlenecking ourselves with too many things happening at once? Are there areas where there's not enough happening where we can stretch things out? So
This will increase revenue.
Make it all even and
the goal is to make it
consecutive
so
for stuff.
we can see everything that's happening, and then there's sticky notes all over this thing where we are proposing adjustments to
Our-
rearrange things to make it
This
more efficient.
presupposes that we're going to do essentially next year what we did this year. And Andy, you said just the other day, you're thinking about, should we go every other year?
That's a great segue. So
Oh,
So I'm
Par-
just trying to figure out.
So what I think, and I think a good example is let's literally use
October.
yeah, actually that's a good one. So let's use the 5K event, right? The 5K event is one of those events that in
The 19th.
it's our goal to drive in as much revenue as possible, right? An event like the Haunted Walk, it's not designed that way. Part of the complications of this position, even with two people, is that as soon as one thing is over, we're immediately on to the next. And we're kind of behind and picking up those last pieces and making sure we're just doing just enough to run the 5K, right? So one of our proposals is do the Haunted Walk on even years and the 5K on odd years. So, because we're planning both events at the same exact time. So if both events are stretched out, that's going to double the time we can plan, network, work within the community, increase sponsorship, so on and so forth. So an event like the 5K, we can, in theory, drive in even more revenue for that.
But we also don't get any feedback on the 5K. So for example, I would love to see something where we could bump it to a 10K with a 5K option.
But
I mean, is there interest?
to I don't know about that specific event, and I don't want to get lost in any singular events, but you bring something else up because we're just on to the next thing. We don't even do program evaluations, right?
I know.
We
That
want
was my whole point.
We
on this
want-
policy for the camp.
yes.
Okay, well, maybe it happens. Maybe we have the same conversation again next year. I
So
mean, I'll believe it when I see it.
and I mean, my recommendation and reasoning for stretching some of these things out is so we can then do exactly what you're asking or requesting. Is not just for
Right.
the brunch or whatever it is. Even for soccer, everything we do, we want to start putting in program evals. We want to do overviews. We want to see how we can do a positive effect in increasing revenue and participation across our programs and events.
Can I speak something real quick?
Yeah.
So I want to pick on this weekend. This weekend is actually perfect to really show the craziness. This is projected for this upcoming October, which is the 19th is currently scheduled for the Fall 5K. The Haunted Walk would fall on the 24th.
5K is dead set.
But this
That's when
doesn't
it's happening.
include our luncheon that happens on the 22nd, along with our rec commission meeting and bingo, which would unfortunately fall in that same week, which it typically wouldn't. So there's a lot, let alone in that 1 week, where we're literally going to have to go from one to the next, let alone
And those
this
are
doesn't account for any of our other meetings, facility tours, any of the residents coming in to talk with us and engage with us, or other responsibilities that we have in the department.
Mhm.
So that 1 week alone is already extremely stretched thin between all the things that we have to
Can
do.
I ask a question? So for this is a really great visual for you guys
Mhm.
to see everything holistically. Instead of knowing, okay, all these dates, this is a system with color coding to distinguish stuff. I think this is great. This is an internal operations type thing for you guys. now that I'm looking at this, I don't see a ton of relevance until you come back and say, okay, we've evaluated this, and this particular month is really heavy, so we want to do this.
So-
Or this month is light, and we think we need.
So the reason why we wanted to bring this to you is, and I think for the most part in my time here, everyone is normally in general agreement with what we want to do. So an example I'm going to give is like, I was forecasting back in 2020, at the current rate we're going, we're going to need a second employee here, and everyone agreed. And I had requested at that time, like, we should probably slow down in what we're offering, and then we add more. So I felt like it was important for everyone here to see everything here. So everything's out on the table. So when we say, we're really cramming a square peg in a round hole here, it's not us trying to tell you that, it's not that we want to not do that or not want to offer, I'm just going to pick on Jim here, and I don't have a problem with this, but like, this is why trying to get basketball boot camp in a short turnaround is difficult for us, because we're literally going on from the next thing to the other. And
I think
in large part, and what we do here is either based off of participant feedback and or recommendations from the rec commission, and which is why I wanted to bring this to the board here, is because, and I'm not pointing fingers or anything, but I've been low-key trying to pump the brake a little bit. And so I want to take a step back, but we've been taking 2 steps forward, which is not a bad thing, but I don't want to just offer a high number of programs. I want to offer quality programs. And I can say for a fact, based off of my experience, like when I worked for Rochester, a city of 30,000 people, we were not doing this much. We were not. We had like our 3 to 5 programs that we said, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're great at. And that's what it is.
And we're not proposing that we cut back on anything in terms of removing programs. I think what we're talking about is reshuffling certain things.
And we want the support of the board. So because change is always a gut punch. It always is. So if you want to zoom back out, Jason. So part of those, and this is why we want to bring here, we want the support of the rec commission is, so on average, we do 9 luncheons a year. Based off of this proposal, I want to do 6 luncheons a year. We don't do luncheons in June, July, or August. But in this proposal, we do have luncheons in June and in August, and we want to go every other month. So basically, Feb, June, and October, April, August, and December would be luncheon months. Columns 1 and 3 would be bingo months. So now we're not planning all this stuff at the same time. It's stretching those things out. So when we make, and so like, for instance, and I'm not going to mention any names, but part of moving these things is like doing Haunted Walk this year, but then the 5K this year. That's going to be a gut punch to people that are very passionate about these things. So I'm picking up what you're putting down, but I need the support if we're going to move in this direction.
Andy, and that's what I'm saying. I think you just need to put this into a digital format. So first of all, it's easy to move something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And second of all, then you can come and you have evidence and you say, okay, I want to do Haunted Walk every alternate years from this, or I want to do 6 luncheons instead of 1 every month except for the summer. Like, and you come and you show us this and you say, this is what it looks like before. This is how. This is great. It's a great visual. But today, I don't know what to do with this, is what all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a really productive exercise for you guys, and I think you should continue doing this, and you should put it into, I get it, you're whiteboarding. This is a giant whiteboard.
Exactly.
We do it all the time at work, but then it needs to go digital.
I want to ask a question, if I could, please, just around the table. What's your sense of, we've all had kids, we all have families. What's your sense? Do you guys like regularity, the same program year after year, basketball, that kind of thing? Or do you like things, hey, they've got a new program here. It's archery, fill in the blank. It's not that it's archery. It's something new. It's a new offering. What do you think people are looking for?
So for me, because my kids have, everybody's kids have been in track, other stuff. I like programs that are what I consider the regular, all the time, every year programs. And then, in how many of those does it mean? 5 or 6? Like our norms, the soccers, all that stuff. those regular items, but then having special events throughout, whether it's quarterly or maybe there's something simple that is like added in that's like kind of a monthly thing, like, mixing a little new with
But also
the
taking
norm.
something away in order to add that new
Yeah,
offer.
yeah, and just, I think it's nice to have your norm, because people do like norm, and not too many people like change, but adding something fresh really allows people to go, oh my God, they got this new program there, like, we usually are at soccer, or we're usually doing this or whatever, and then there's something new, and they're like, let's see if the kids want to do that. So I think mixing it up, that's just my opinion, is that will keep families coming back. And if there's new families moving in, they're gonna see that we've got a mixed bag of things. But I do believe in the regularity of those ones we've had for years, and just plopping new ones in here and there, just to make it fresh.
And
You guys.
I like the regularity if the event is good. Like when I see Monty walk there, I say, I think that thing is tremendous and a huge success.
Yeah.
I don't know how much work it takes, but we've been doing it every year. And I go, wait a minute, we've added a new position. How can the town people that voted in favor of, a new position, and now you're cutting the haunted walk? Like, that doesn't make any sense
Right.
at all to me. But what I would say is something, I did the 5K. And I ain't running the 10K. I ran the 5K. But I would say, and just like with basketball, because you're adding these new things, I would tell you, you should definitely put the onus on, like me, for the basketball.
Mhm.
If you're having to receive way more phone calls and stuff, I think you need to say, hey,
Yeah.
Jim, if
So-
you're gonna do this every year, I'm gonna need you, especially with the 5K.
Yeah.
Because the 5K was not.
I was using that as an example more of a situation, not with the actual program. It's fine. I think it's fine if we were to continue with that every single year. You mentioned the haunted walk. I bring that. No. I bring that up because the trails are a safety concern.
Oh,
So there's
yeah.
been a lot of wear and tear on it. So it's not that we added a second position and we're pulling it away. We're also trying to stretch out the life of our facilities. And guess what? The cost of that specific trail is going to be over 6 figures to repair. And we have much higher needs in order to focus. And then I go back.
That's a separate argument.
Yeah, and then I go back to, last year was our first 5K, and I want you to be fully honest. Like, do you think that was a successful
No, it was
event?
a successful event.
So-
I mean, I'm not saying take it away, but.
But that's what I'm getting at. If we do something and going to what Julie's saying, like, there's some things we can't move. 4th of July parade, guess what? It's always
It's always gonna be there.
The
There's the regular one.
Icon, the Easter egg hunt, that's the same thing every year.
Good move.
The only events we're really proposing to be every other year, and it's due to, if you look at September and October, we have the fall paddle, we have the 5K, we have the haunted walk. Those are 3 events crammed in less than a month. And when
That's
someone,
what Al's saying. We just need
Yeah.
to know from you.
when someone
Very
signs
useful
up,
on that.
you want to sign up for the best high quality program. And I'm not trying to make an excuse for us, but like, each individual event needs the necessary and appropriate time to actually run it.
Yes.
Yeah, so the other thing, I just want to highlight one thing, I do agree, we need core things like sports, and some
Yeah.
sports have gone away, like we've
Yep.
cut softball after a certain
Yep.
age, and baseball, like,
We had
things
a
have
cricket.
died over the vine, or.
We don't plan on moving sports.
But additionally, with events in the past, so I don't know if any of you attended or remember, we had the outdoor movie night, which
Yep.
we ran for 5 years. And it was a really great event. And the first year, huge. Second year, even bigger. Third year started to dwindle.
Yep.
And then the fourth. and
Starting to
fifth.
happen with National Night Out.
Yeah, right.
These do lose their luster. Like, they
Yeah.
do have a lifespan.
Yeah.
So be aware of that. What I wanted to highlight is what I think is we do really well as a town is the blue events. So the blue is let's call them pop-up events, where they're not really run by you. You may take registrations, and that's all
Right.
you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think those are great when we can fit them in, like that sourdough making class. That's
Yeah.
sweat filled up.
I didn't mention that, but classes are involved in this too. So we do
So,
have like
I-
classes for
I
babysitting,
do-
sourdough. We also put trips on here as well.
I want to go back to Haunted Walk super quick. So Jason and I were talking about this. So if we were in agreement and say, let's take a break from the Haunted Walk, one of the ideas that we had is if we were going to take a break from it this year, it's not that we won't do anything for Halloween. The idea we were talking about today is how cool would it be if we could bring the rec van down to trunk or treat at school? We get in costumes and we're trying to bridge the relationship of the school. We got music playing and we partake in trunk or treat with the school department. So it's not that we're taking a break from Halloween itself. It's just because that's a super easy thing to do. We can do that one day, boom, pull
And you
in,
know
and we
what?
can be a part of
Here's the
it.
thing too about
I want every year,
yeah.
Every other year.
every other year.
Yeah, and here's the thing, the library, years ago, we used to joint do a Halloween event.
Boo bash.
We did the Boo Bash, yeah. And it was cute. We did a costume contest. The
Yep.
kids came. It was co-sponsored. We actually hosted it at the library. Why don't we give the library,
Yep.
this is just throwing out an idea. They built the brand new whatever stadium thing.
Mhm.
Let them be the main, and we'll support them.
Yeah.
Like Andy and
Right.
Jason will probably still help work the event, but let them take
Yep.
over help.
Yeah.
Bring the costume contest back. So it's
Yeah.
an
And-
every other year flop.
And we've already
put the onus on them to run it.
And we've
maybe
already
get some-
discussed too, the other thing is right now, where Haunted Walk goes is a safety, huge safety concern. We can't really do the Haunted Walk there. We don't have the revenue to fix those trails, and they do need to be, you walked with what, 2 to 3 people?
Yes.
Wayne included, and he said, yeah, this is not safe. So as much as we all love that, it really stinks that the trails they're highly used. So we just, we're not getting
We're not getting rid of it. It's just
it's that-
We're not getting rid of.
No.
We started with
No.
busy.
But let's go
Okay,
to,
I-
let's
I-
go
The-
to like something for Halloween, but you just do it in a different
Yes.
location.
I- I
for now.
totally
So basically, the years, what we're proposing is the years that we would have a haunted walk, we wouldn't have a 5K. The years we have a 5K, we wouldn't have a haunted walk. We're just trying to offset, and it's like I said, it's really just those two events. I also want to preface because it's tough to see, but we're also adding a craft fair in November.
You got
this year.
kids versus adults. The adults are gonna do the 5K, the kids are gonna do the haunted walk.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So we have to balance that. It's
Mhm.
okay if we wanna make that decision, but you're
Well,
taking something away from the adults, you're giving it to the kids, vice versa. But the other thing, something like the fall paddle, that may be OBE by definition if the dam goes away.
Can you?
And if that happens, then I would recommend that we move the 5K to September. But
Right.
the point we're just trying to get at, whether it's bingo, luncheons, we're just trying to, it's not that we're saying we're getting rid of it. We're just trying to stretch
Yeah,
these
yeah.
things out
Yeah.
so we can, and
Guys, I think this is a great start.
Yeah.
I really do. I like what you've done here.
Mhm.
What else are you looking to achieve to discuss tonight on this?
we thought this was hand in hand because, I mean, on our last meeting, John had proposed that, our meetings be more, it would be more useful if we actually did some strategic planning
Yes.
rather than spending all of our time in the rec rundown. So
So what-
John specifically asked for funding and revenue, and Jason and I had thought that this would go hand in hand with each other, which is why we started this.
Yeah, I think it's great,
no,
and I
yep.
think if you put it in a digital format, you let us sit, you let us digest it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that needs
Shoot
to
it
be
out
the
ahead of
first.
time, so
Okay.
it's-
No, do you want to do
Yeah.
it before and after, or just what we want it to be?
I would do
Before and
before and
I
after.
would do before and after, like,
has
do
to be
just make
before and after.
multiple Outlook calendars, you
Yeah.
Because
literally
it
copy
allows
them.
us to look
And
at
then
the
what we
board.
can do is we can
Right.
look before and after,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It's just gonna take us a little bit to do that, but we can do that.
Yeah, we can do it. We can do it before the next meeting.
That way. we
Once
can
you get
see-
rolling, it's gonna be easier than
Right.
handwriting
And
it.
Exactly.
correct me if I'm wrong, but we were looking, if we were to implement these changes, it wouldn't start until September. I believe that's when we wanted to, because that's when we take the break for all our senior programs, June, July, August, so we'll go through camp. Then September, when we kick back in with our senior programs, camp
Yeah,
is
so at-
over, we'll start this new
Yeah,
process.
at this current point in time, everything that's scheduled, let's say all the way through the end of June, is going to stay as is based off of what we're proposing. So if we were to make any changes, this won't take effect until September. So it's not like we have to come to any decisions, but in my personal opinion, I think we do need to do a very minor and slight overhaul of how we are mapping and strategically planning our programs. Because, I also don't want to get lost in sight that just because we also added a second position, we have to ask ourselves, why was it added? It was added because of the workload. It's not added to then double up the calendar again.
Yeah, yeah,
right? We want to offer good quality programs. So, I mean, that's why I proposed it.
But Andy, you said the area of highest growth is the senior programs. So that's one thing I'd be interested in. I don't know if that's by color coding or not. How many programs are senior? How many are like
So,
adults? How
in
many are
this
kids? That sort of
proposal,
thing.
So basically, the way we were looking at it is you have bingo and luncheon every other month, and then every 4 months we're doing at least one trip.
4 months. Okay.
So every 4 months we're doing at least one trip. So and we're not very regular on that. It's kind of like when's the open spot? Boom, we're doing a trip there.
And we still
Right.
fill the trips.
Hmm?
We
Could
still
you,
fill the
Depending
trips?
on where we go.
It's
And
pending
if
location.
we go in with some other town, right?
We did talk about that. That'd be additional.
So
we'll do 3 with our rec van a year, and if we can get it to partner up with
Yep.
Kingston or
And
Hampton, we'll do an additional trip.
it's actually
but not set that
in-
expectation.
Okay.
in my proposal, it's actually 5. So this June, we are doing our luncheon at the Historical Society. Historically, no pun intended, historically speaking, we don't even do a luncheon in June. Under my proposal, only the June and August, we would actually do those luncheons off-site. So it would act as another 2 additional trips.
Yeah.
So we still will do the regular 3 scheduled trips per year, plus the 2 June and August. The van's going to be needed for camp. So we do June and August as off-site locations as additional, so technically 5 trips, but 3 regular scheduled ones. And we were using the small rec van to do, the Nash Casino, Dover, the Brook, things like that. And it's still our goal to work with Kingston, work with Hampton during July or August to do big coach bus. We did Lake Winnipesaukee in October this past year. So the idea is we're still going to try to do 1 to 2 big coach bus events. But the way we were looking at it is those were additions too. If we can say bare minimum, we're offering these 3 to 5 trips with our small rec van, big coach buses would be additions too. And part of our proposals as well is also moving the luncheons to the beginning of the month. For us, luncheons always fall on these days here. It's already a long day. It's such a longer day because we're out of the office for most of the day.
I'm cooking.
He's
so-
cooking so in this proposal, we're actually moving all of the luncheons to the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
We'll be moving our senior subcommittee meetings to these days here. So basically every 4th Wednesday of the month is a meeting day for us. So that's kind of how we were how I was envisioning
I think
some
this
of this
is,
here.
like I said, I think it's a great start.
Yeah.
Before and after. Jason, how are your Excel skills?
I'd say they're fairly good.
Okay, so I have a thought for you to deal with kind of the funding revenue ask from Jen, because it's a legit ask. Make a spreadsheet that talks about what the program is, the revenue cost, have a column for cost, have a column for revenue, have a column for demographic, for how many people participated.
Precisely.
Then if you aggregate it into one big list, then we
Yeah.
can actually pull it out and do pivot tables and pivot table charts, and you can make really pretty things very simplistically from Excel.
And it's
Yeah.
easy to move.
Right.
It's easy to tweak that way.
Yes.
But I do love the idea of partnering with Janice and the library.
Yeah.
If we can co-sponsor and then, hey, you've got the stick, then you guys aren't as
Yeah.
tied up.
We used to do a lot with the library. We did various events.
They're
We
looking
used-
for things.
We used to do 2 events a year with them. One was definitely Boo Bash.
Yes.
And I think what else we would do.
We're partnering.
We did a
with them this year
scarecrow
for-
thing a couple of years.
We're
always
partnering with
do
them
the
this year for
scarecrow.
summer camp, doing 2 different events. We're doing a magician
Yeah,
show.
we used to
and
do
have
a
lots of
couple
honors
different
from them.
things with them.
Yeah.
Because it's great. You get more bodies helping
right.
run the event,
That's
and
right.
it also raises programming awareness for both the library and
Yeah.
And the kids will go in and grab a book or something.
well, and we
Wait,
have a deeper
I-
rec traditionally had a deeper youth email list is what it was.
Right.
I agree with everything that you're recommending, what everyone is saying here. But one other thing I do want to mention is within this calendar here, it's more so for Jason and I, but we actually want to start doing. I don't want to say quarterly. I say quarterly because it's 4 times a year, but actually doing a full planning week in February during February break, where we don't have a lot going on. We want to shut the office down, and when you look at the calendar, everything ramps up in April. So
I think that's a
it's
reasonable.
hey, boom,
Yeah.
do office house cleaning day in March. In August, when we get back from our little vacay, do planning to get ready for the fall. And then at the end of this fall sports season, so in mid-November, we're shutting the office down to do concession, outdoor, BRC, cleanup, things like that. So it's going to be much more, hold us more accountable and making sure we're staying on top of
I
these
think
things.
these are all great. And just to kind of put it out there, I don't think this board in the 13, 14, however many years, maybe we could, I have no idea at this point. Served here for a long time. We've never dictated the program schedule. So if
No.
you, as the director and get the
Program coordinator.
program coordinator, thank you. You need to move the luncheon dates. I don't think
Yeah.
this
No.
board
I think
is going
I think our thing
to
was
care.
we really wanted your support because we
Yeah.
envisioned potential backlash from the community.
Well, I
as
love
we're
the
moving stuff and
transparency. There
changing
should always be
stuff.
transparency.
And here's the
no
thing,
matter what.
you guys will have this in a digital
Yep.
format,
Yeah.
and it's
It's-
justifiable.
And
like-
going back to what you're saying, like, hey, we want something every month. Well, now the seniors will know, oh, this is bingo month. Oh, this is luncheon
Yes,
month. Like
correct.
that short-term initial shock is, oh man, I'm so used to this at the
Yes.
fourth Wednesday, not the first Wednesday of every
Yeah.
month. So
Seniors in
yeah,
particular.
we fully expect a short term, but during the summer, when we don't have senior activities
is.
planned, I'm going to sit down with the subcommittee. We're already planning it. We are going to do an educational seminar at our first luncheon back from the fall to show seniors, how do you find your rec information? How do you register for it? Because
Yeah.
we are so behind the times. We're the only community, to my knowledge, that's calling seniors. Do you want to come to the luncheon? What are you going to bring?
I know, right?
So
I think it's a nice thing that you do.
It- yeah,
Yes, they should
right.
be at the digital site up for those who can, but there are some.
But not
who
everybody
like
can
the
be
phone
on
calls and
digital.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
it's nice, but when it's 50 plus 20 minutes
But-
each, like.
Use AI.
Yeah.
We still encourage people to give phone calls if there's questions that we want to make reservations, but we're trying to alleviate us making 50 phone calls every month to notify people
Yep.
about
It's gone to the point where we put it on the subcommittee and they're like, we don't want to do this.
And that's fine.
So I think this is great. I think we should probably at this point, if you're okay with it, wrap it up.
Yeah.
And like, let's have all of, I think the best thing is for you guys to send that to us, the before and the
Yep.
after, so we can digest it. And if there's something that we see, because you guys are really the ones that are gonna be making the calendars and working all this, if there's any suggestions that we might be able to toss your way, you can kind of digest our verbiage, and then kind of, when we come back to the next meeting, we can make the decision of like, okay, this seems like a great game plan, let's go.
And I promise you, this board, we probably won't really notice that a lot of stuff is shift.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, you guys know the schedule, you know the rental
Yeah.
facilities, you know when,
Right.
the big mats have to come out for jujitsu or whatever that program is, like, we're looking for you to guide us.
Yeah.
Like, that's the day-to-day operations. of
Correct,
this.
yeah, and that's like really.
But this would definitely help us out
Um,
by doing this change.
I think
I'm-
it's a great way to organize yourselves.
But this is just a start, because in your planning month, for example, I mean, when are we ever looking at facility upgrades? When are we ever looking at snack shack?
Well, so that's why I put a planning in
You know,
August
those sorts
there.
of
So
things.
August
Yeah.
planning would allow us the time to focus on budget season.
Yeah.
Like, we have a full dedicated time budget season, capital projects.
Yep.
Correct,
Boom.
Yep.
We
Yep.
have time set aside for that
Yep.
where we can shut
Um,
down the office.
Yeah.
Right. And we can work. on
CapEx
Um,
expenditures on this, that, and the other,
Exactly.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you.
All for wrapping this up here
Good.
shortly, but one question I do have is, and it's obviously directed towards everyone, but maybe a little bit more towards John here, but is this what we were looking for by moving group discussion first? I know this month was a little wacky, but is this achieving what we voted on at our last meeting? Because that's what I'm looking for. I want our meetings to be more productive, more efficient.
Mhm.
I think it's a great start.
Okay.
It's also hard because you could argue it one of two ways. Okay, fine, funding permeates everything, therefore we should talk about it initially, versus,
Right.
wait a minute, let's deal with all the programmatics, let's worry about the facilities, that's X, Y, Z, and then let's deal with funding last.
Mhm.
So you could argue it both ways.
Yeah.
6 one, half dozen of the other.
And here's the thing, this is an inventory of
Services.
the services, and then you're gonna work on the other Excel, which will help guide data-driven decisions.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's what you
mean?
need.
To clarify, you wanted program, demographic, cost, and revenue, right? Those are the big
Program,
four.
demographic, cost, and
Demographic.
revenue,
Yeah.
I think so,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm making notes here so I don't forget.
I mean,
No.
there might be something else, but I think that would be a great start.
Yeah.
And then if you need to add something, you just add another.
Add as needed.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think it'll help you guys visualize, you talk about, okay, we want to make more money. We can start saying, okay, what are loss leaders? Where are revenue makers? Okay,
Right.
can we do any more pop-up programs?
Right.
Or can we do any more of these that, but until you have the data written down,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to do anything with it.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
here's the thing too, like we talked about budget committee, like really honed in on you guys this year and wanted stuff and, I made that spreadsheet and all this. Visuals help. They
Yeah.
help justify a lot of stuff and, you guys are moving into the digital on a lot of stuff and it's really great and having time to sit and do this. Andy didn't have time. He ran yellow programs and pink programs and green programs and, orange. Like, you know what I mean? This is where you guys.
Well, I
have
was
to-
saying earlier, I'm like, granted, not that we have to keep selling because our position's passed, but I'm like, this is what was going on the last 7 years. We probably should have shown this as a part of that too,
Yeah.
because
And that's the thing when.
that's what
you
this
guys
calendar is
go
for the
to,
year.
The board in the future decides to push back again for that full-time slot. You're gonna have this. You're gonna have this data. You're gonna have.
Yeah.
stuff.
And improved. Yep.
To further answer your question from my perspective, Andy, I think it would really help, and I'm not speaking for anyone else, of course, but if you could send the information out before the meeting, so that we have a chance to
Yeah.
eyeball it,
Mm-hmm.
come up with questions, what have you.
Yeah.
In most situations, you definitely, this is what we're working on
Yeah, yeah,
today.
yeah.
So yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure,
But
Yeah.
that would help,
tremendously.
I think so.
Yep. I think so.
Good.
Any other new business?
Mm-mm.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's turn this off.
Good, good, good.
I'll let you do that.
I hear ya. Yeah, I haven't stepped in my house yet, and I'm like, okay, I'm starving. I gotta eat.
Someone's making dinner, I hope.
Oh, I